Hello everyone. We're going to do an example today of looking how to calculate correlation coefficient. We're actually going to be using the same data we did for one of our scatter plot examples where we have the GDP of different countries in trillions of dollars and the CO2 emissions that they have in millions of metric tons. So begin here, we have our GDP of 1.7, 2.4, 3.0, 1.2, 4.1, 2.3, 0.9, 1.8, 2.9, and 5.4. And you'll notice that I have this set up. We're going to calculate the sum of x, the sum of y. We have x and y, so we're going to multiply these by each other, sum those up. We're going to take the square of each of these x terms, we're going to sum that up, and we're going to take the square of each of the y terms and sum that up. And that'll be so we can calculate the correlation coefficient, which is going to be equal to n times the sum of xy minus the sum of x times the sum of y divided by the square root of n sum of x squared minus the sum of the x's squared. And then this is going to be times the square root of n times the sum of y squared minus the sum of the y's squared. And this table will basically let us do this step by step so we can get all these numbers. So I have my calculator here and we're going to calculate it together. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to figure out what the sum of these x's are. So we have 1.7 plus 2.4 plus 3 plus 1.2 plus 4.1 plus 2.3 plus 0.9 plus 1.8 plus 2.9 plus 5.4. And I got 25.7. Now, normally we don't round quite so small, but basically what I'm going to be doing for this one is just rounding to one decimal just to make the calculation a little bit easier for the example. But when you're doing this, obviously just like any other time, you can have more or less decimals depending on what you're trying to do. So now we're going to sum up our y values. So we have 620.1 plus 475.2 plus 457.6 plus 389.7 plus 810.8 plus 352.9 plus 235 plus 297.8 plus 413.9 plus 1216.5. Now when I sum these up together, rounding to one decimal place, I get 5,269.5. So next up we're going to do, we're going to multiply our x values times our y values. So we have 1.7 times 620.1, and this is going to give us 1,054.2. 2.4 times 475.2 gives us 1,140.5. 1.2 times 457.6 gives us 549.1. 4.1 times 810.8 gives us 3,324.3. Next one we have 2.3 times 352.9 gives us 811.7. 0.9 times 235 gives us 211.5. Next we have 1.8 times 297.8 gives us 536.0. 2.9 times 413.9 gives us 1,200.3. And then the last one we have 5.4 times 1,216.5 gives us 6,569.1. And now we need to sum all of these up. So we have 1,054.2 plus 1,140.5 plus 549.1 plus 3,324.3 plus 811.7 plus 211.5 plus 536 plus 1200.3 plus 6569.1. This gives me a total of 15,396.7. Now we're going to take our x values and we're going to square them. So we get 1.7 squared is going to be 2.89. 2.4 squared is going to be 5.76. Oh, actually, we're doing one decimal. So this is going to be 2.9, just to keep it consistent. Normally I do things at 2 or 3 decimals, but I wanted to make it a little bit quicker for the video, but that's okay. So I said this. Well, first one was 2.9. Second one was 5.8. 1.2 squared is going to be 1.4. 1.4, not 1.44. 4.1 squared is going to be 16.8. 2.3 squared is going to be 5.3. 0.9 squared going to be 0.81, so 0.8. Actually, no, I don't know why. I'm just putting it in my calculator, even though I don't nearly need it. 1.8 squared is going to be 3.2. 2.9 squared is going to be 8.4. And then 5.4 squared is going to give us 29.2. So we're going to sum all of these up now. So I have 2.9 plus 5.8 plus 1.4 plus 16.8 plus 5.3 plus 0.8 plus 3.2 plus 8.4 plus 29.2. And I get 73.8. Now we're going to square the y values. 620.1 squared is going to give us 384,524. 475.2 squared is going to give us 225,815. 389.7 squared is going to give us 151,866. 810.8 squared is going to give us 657,397. 352.9 squared is going to be 124,538. 235 squared is going to be 55,225. 297.8 squared is going to be 88,684. We'll round it up. I'm just going to keep these to whole numbers just because it's a lot. 413.9 squared is going to be 171,313. And the last one, we have 1,216.5 squared is going to give us 147,982. So 1,479,872. And now we get to sum all of those up. So we have 1,479,872 plus 171,313 plus 88,685 plus 55,225 plus 124,538 plus 657,397 plus 151,866 plus 225,815 plus 384,524. Adding all that together, so summing that up, we get a total of 3339235. And then 0.3 if we wanted to keep it to one decimal. But again, I'm just rounding this to whole number because it's already going to be unwieldy enough. Okay, so now we can solve for our correlation coefficient. So the first thing we're going to do is our n. How many ordered pairs do we have? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is going to be 10 times the sum of our xy's. You go to xy, go to your sum. So this is times 15,396.7 minus the sum of your x's, 25.7, times the sum of your y's, 5,269.5. And then this is all going to be divided by the square root of 10 times the sum of our x's squared. So this is going to be, the sum of x squareds. So this is going to be 73.8 minus, and then we're dividing by the sum of our x's squared. So this is going to be 25.7 squared. And then this is going to be times, n is 10. The sum of our y squares is going to be this big number here, that 3,330,235 minus, and then we take the sum of our y's squared. So this is going to be minus 5,269.5 squared. Now I'm going to do this piecemeal. Usually with my calculator, I could just plug it in all at once, but I just wanted to kind of show, doing it step by step. So the first thing, we have 10 times 15,396.7. That's just going to make it 153,967 minus 27.5 times 5,269.5. So let's do that. So this will be 10 times 15396.7 minus 25.7 times 5269.5 gives us a total of, on the top, the numerator, 18,540.9 divided by, then now let's look at this square root. We have 10 times 73.8 minus 25.7 squared is going to give us 77.51. So it's going to be the square root of 77.51. Now we do the same thing for this. We have 10 times 3330235 minus 5,269.5 squared, which will give us a total of square root of 5534719. Okay, so now we need to do is we just need to figure out what's the square root of this, what's the square root of this, and then divide this number by those two multiplied by each other. So I'm just going to do this part as one step. So I have the square root of 77.5 times the square root of 5534719. And this is going to give us a denominator of 20,710.9. Our numerator was 18,504.9, which gives me a total of 18540.9 divided by 20710.9 gives me a correlation coefficient of 0.895, and so on. Now, I want to point out that if you were to keep more than one decimal, or the fact of I didn't keep any decimals for the really large numbers, your value may be just a little bit different because of rounding error. I mostly was doing this to kind of be a little bit quicker in this example, because as you see, this is a lot to do, especially for only 10 data points. And this is why generally what we do is we use specific tools like Excel, R, Python, SPSS, things like that to calculate things like correlation coefficient. Because if we had a lot more data points, this would become very difficult to do by hand. Not impossible generally, but just a lot of work. So in fact, that actually leads us into our next lesson, where I'm actually going to cover a little bit more about correlation coefficient and how to deal with it. And then I'll actually have a video on how to use different tools to calculate it, so you don't have to do this for every single problem. Thank you for watching. To continue learning, click the linked video here for the next lesson. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.